Federal prosecutors moving ahead with their 2020 election interference probe. Former President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, reportedly testifying before a grand jury in Washington last month as investigators look into Mr. Trump's actions following that election. Kushner is said to have maintained that it was his impression that Mr. Trump truly believed the election was stolen. Niall Stanage is White House columnist for The Hill. Niall, when I read that headline and when I read this story, I thought, wait a minute. So it's half the country believing that he really lied, that President Trump lied about his belief that this election was stolen. He was only hungry, just going for the grab of these votes. And then the other half of the country thinking he really is convinced it was ethically stolen.
Yes, I think that is essentially the situation. I think this is an important point because obviously it goes to the issue of former President Trump's intent in contesting the results of the 2020 election. Now, he has and his allies have litigated his claims repeatedly, and they have lost repeatedly more than 60 times in court. But now that this federal probe is underway, there is a very important question about whether he knew that his claims were false or whether he sincerely believed the election was stolen and was therefore, in his eyes, trying to right a wrong.
But why do you think, in just observing mainstream media, most of mainstream media has at least purported that this was a criminal act, that him accusing this election process of being uncouth, of being a heist, you know, that the 81 million votes that Joe Biden won. We keep hearing this come out even in terms of the GOP contenders now, that so many, including Nikki Haley, are saying that there was some impropriety there. Why is it that it seems as though much of the mainstream media is ignoring the possibility that President Trump really did think this was a false election?
That's a very valid question, why they don't acknowledge that possibility. Now, I would say that part of the reason is that if you remember back to the goings-on of the January 6th committee, you had people who were allied to then President Trump arguing and testifying that they had told him his claims were false. Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, did that in rather earthy terms. Bill Stepien, who'd been Trump's campaign manager, talked about him, Stepien, being on Team Normal against other advisors who were arguing the other way. So I think this is actually just a question about human nature at one level, Adrienne. We all tend to overweigh evidence that points to the conclusion we want and underweigh evidence that points in the opposite direction. Is that what former President Trump was doing, or was he willfully ignoring facts? That's a key question, and it's hard to know without being inside his mind.
Well, and it's also just interesting to see how these stories are broken down. At one point in the Vanity Fair article, there was a sentence saying, you know, that it could benefit Mr. Trump if his allies call him a raving conspiracy theorist. That's likely not going to happen. So let's talk about the lawyers for Mr. Trump filing a motion in Georgia seeking to dismissing an election interference probe there. Do we know where the case stands now?
We do. I mean, the Trump lawyers are trying to bar the district attorney in Georgia from going forward with that case. This is going to be something that will have to be decided pretty quickly, because that district attorney has indicated that she will make a charging decision, in other words, whether to go forward with criminal charges or not, between the end of this month and August 18th. So the crunch is arriving there, and that's obviously going to be something to watch, because it is one of 3 to 4 cases that are potentially posing serious peril to President Trump.
We're looking at the Georgia case, we're looking at what's happening in New York City, and then, of course, Washington. Niall, thank you for all the details and for a riveting discussion, as always.
Always a pleasure to have a riveting discussion with you, Adrienne. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.